Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Paul, and in this channel, I go over things that I'm curious about and things I've looked into, I like to share. As you guys know, once a month, I like to do book reviews for the month, and with this one being on the 13th or whatever today is, I do apologize for being a little bit late. My process kind of for doing this whole thing is every 2 months, I try and finish about 25 books, and 4 of those being audiobooks. And so sometimes what happens is in the midst of my reading and in the midst of doing, sometimes I won't finish a book. I will read halfway through a lot of different books. And so that means on 1 month, I may only read, 8 or so. And then the other one, I'll read 15 plus, but it's because of the way in which I read. It wasn't that I wasn't reading or anything like that. So with this one, and then other times, I'm reading 10 plus per month, and it's working out like that. But with this one, that's the only reason why I'm a little bit late, so I apologize for that. But I do have 5 books here that I will recommend to you guys, and we'll proceed as normal. Okay, so this first one, it's called Knowing Scripture by R.C. Sproul. It's like this. This book is about 150 pages here. I felt like I recommended this to a few of my friends as well. I felt like this was a really good book. If you are just coming to the Bible, or even if you've been in the Bible for any amount of time, it's a good refresher on how to read it, because there's a lot of different ways that one could possibly read the Bible. But given the depth of scripture and the range of writing style, history, all this other stuff, there are so many different ways to approach the scriptures. And so I felt like R.C. Sproul did a good job in this book laying out reasonable and practical ways to go about reading the scriptures. And I was immediately thinking of, when I read this book, I immediately thought of another book. It's called Parables by John MacArthur. I think I read that back in the fall. If you want to pick that book up, it's another good book as well. They're actually good buddies. I think it has a picture of like a sheep on the cover or something like that, if I remember correctly. But and that one just went through how to read parables. He even had a section in here on parables. And so, again, if you want any type of knowledge or understanding on how to approach the scriptures, I feel like this is a good small book to read. Again, it's called Knowing Scripture by R.C. Sproul. Okay, this next one, I actually really, really enjoyed this one. It's called The Lost Art of Closing by Anthony. I'm going to butcher this last name. Ian Narino. I don't even know how to pronounce that last name. But this The Lost Art of Closing. And this one's about 215 pages. Okay, this is going to be ironic what I'm about to say about this book, because he actually has another book that he wrote before this called The Only Sales Guide You'll Ever Need. But I was going to say about this book, if you were to read one sales book, this would be the one that, frankly, I would suggest. I've read multiple sales books, but a lot of them are focused on tactics, okay? And tactics, I think, are great, but one of my own philosophies is I like to focus on philosophy over tactics. And so in this book, one of the reasons why I loved it so much, one, because he treated you like a person. He treated you as a salesperson like a person. And I really, really like that in a sales style over having like a lot of different tactics and what to do in different scenarios. This one, the subtitle for this one is Winning the 10 Commitments That Drive Sales. And so this one was more of just like a conversation, like, okay, what's a natural sales cycle that happens? And in this book, he talked about you want to be your client's trusted advisor. You're not just, making a sale. You want to be the trusted advisor. So you got to be knowledgeable. You got to be their friend, got to get the trust, all the stuff that like other sales books talk about. But this one was a lot more. Again, he was almost like that trusted advisor to you in this sales process, like writing this book. He felt like a normal person, not all sales tactics, all this stuff, just a normal person. So if you're in sales at all, or if you want to learn sales, it's frankly a very easy read. 215 pages, called The Lost Art of Closing. And again, Anthony, if you see this just by chance, I'm sorry for butchering your last name. Okay, this next one here. It's called The Dirty Little Secrets of Family Business by Henry Hutchinson. Looks like this. This one, what was this one? Like 230? Yeah, this one's about 230 pages. I really like this book from the standpoint of thinking about family businesses compared to, I guess, just like other businesses that you have other partners come together, because there really is a different dynamic with a family business than there is with something if like just two friends come together and form a business. In this book, he talks about the politics of what that looks like. He talks about, some of the ways that you should structure that, some of the ways that you should go about hiring and firing. And then he talked about the differences between the first, second, and third generation within the family business. A lot of different nuances with this. And so if you have a family business at all, whether you're looking at, okay, I'm getting ready to put it onto the second generation or third generation, and I want to know financially, how should I structure this financially? How should I do this with the stocks? I'm, going to use this family business for my retirement. How do I set this up? When do I start bringing on other people compared to like my own family members? How do I promote leadership within this? He goes over a lot of different stuff. Some of the stuff is more technical, and some of the stuff is more of just like what he's observed, helping family businesses succeed from one generation to the next. And so, yeah, if you have a family business of any type, it's a good book to pick up. Again, it's pretty simple, 230-page book. So 30 Little Secrets of Family Business. I'm going to save this one for last because I love this one. But okay, so this next one, this is called Other People's Money by Paul Zane Pilzer with Robert Dietz. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But it's the inside story of the SNL mess. Okay, this is something that I did not know. I saw this in the footnotes section of another book that I was reading. And so I was like, okay, I want to pick this up. You can tell by the color of the page. Well, I don't know if you can tell with this camera, but yellow pages. So it's obviously an older book, but this one goes through the whole mess and the whole debacle of the savings and loan crisis. And the reason why this one was so insightful for me is because he went through like a little bit of the history of the savings and loans accounts and how essentially on the backs of all the American savers, a lot of progress was made within these accounts. But then when greed took over and these different big business guys started getting, greedy, mixing with politics, and then politics getting involved, you saw how the whole mess, and honestly, a lack of integrity within this whole debacle. I'm not going to do the review, by the way, on this book as a whole technical breakdown of the SNL. That's what you can read this book for. I'm more coming at it from the perspective of someone who just read this book and what quick insights I can give you if you don't want to read the book. But one of the biggest takeaways, I'll give you two of the biggest takeaways that I have from this one. One, and I wrote it on one of the last pages of this book, it says, play the long game. Even when everyone else is playing the short game, you should play the long game. If it seems wrong, it probably is. And so many people got caught up in this mess because it worked and because it was easy, but there was no integrity with what they were doing. No integrity with what they were doing. And so that just made me think from a business perspective, yeah, there are going to be millions to be made in the short term. There are going to be plenty of those opportunities, but it doesn't always mean it's right. The second thing that I took away from this book was this, that you have a chance and an opportunity of when to cut things off if you know like something is wrong with this. And they perpetuated the problem and blew it up by not handling it and by not bringing things to light and by continually deceiving the American people with this, causing a big mess. But on the other side of it, there's a powerful lesson to be had with this in how powerful it is with a bunch of small savers coming together, like the American people, and just kind of what opportunity that can create. So if you've never heard of the SNL crisis before, this is it seemed to me like a good introductory book. It was pretty technical in some parts, and those parts are read kind of quicker because I'm not trying to know this thing inside and out. But it was a good overview, I would say. And if you wanted to get technical, if you know something about this, it probably would suit you as well. So anyways, it's called Other People's Money by Paul Zane Pilzer and Robert Dietz. Dietz. This one, by the way, was $250-ish. Yeah, $250. Okay, this last one. Well, I'll show you this first. Okay, The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. This book is about 170 pages, very small book, written in the 1600s, I believe. And here's what I can say about this. There are, in your reading journey, there are going to be different books that are transformational. and some that just ring really, really well with you and you just treasure them. A while back ago, I had kind of three pillars that I felt like the Lord showed me on my walk with him, and it was faith, submission, and humility. The one on humility, I found a book very early on that tailored so well with that lesson, and it was called Humility by Andrew Murray. I've talked about that book before. I've recommended it out. This book is now the book that I'm going to match with the faith pillar that I have. I haven't found a book on submission yet that like I feel like really ties it really, really well. But this is the book. Sorry if I'm looking out there. It's raining right now. I don't know if you guys can hear, but this is the book that I'm going to start recommending for people on faith and what it looks like to have faith incorporated in the day-to-day aspect. Okay. This guy pretty much dedicated his life to being in the presence of God all the time. So it didn't matter what he was doing, you know, whether he'd be washing dishes or just talking with people, his one goal in life was to always be in the presence of God. And you can see in his letters, because this is like written in a way to where he's writing letters to someone. And then, you know, it's kind of published. He didn't know that it would be published. Actually, he was like, look, I don't want you showing anyone else, which kind of just showed his humility as well. But if you want a practical guide on being in the presence of God all the time, being in that faith, growing in that faith, this is the book. And as it's appropriately titled, it's called The Practice. Ooh, that just scared me. It's called The Practice of the Presence of God. Couldn't recommend this book enough. Okay, so this one is 117 pages. Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. Other People's Money, 250 pages by Paul Zane Pilzer with Robert Dietz. 30 Little Secrets of Family Business, 230 pages by Henry Hutchinson. The Lost Art of Closing, 215 pages by Anthony Iannarino. And then R.C. Sproul, Knowing Scripture, 150 pages. All right. That is this month's book review. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.